Hey Reddit, this is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to write, but I need to get it off my chest. I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting about betrayal, but here I am. Buckle up because this is a long one. A little background. I've been married to my wife, Lisa, for 7 years. We've had what I thought was a strong marriage. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but I always believed we were solid. I love her more than anything and did everything I could to make her happy. My birthday was coming up, and Lisa kept telling me she had something special planned. I was excited. I'm not the kind of guy who expects much, but she was being unusually secretive, and it made me feel like a kid again. She was always great at surprises, so I figured she had something romantic or fun in mind. The night before my birthday, Lisa told me she had a work meeting in the afternoon, but that I should be ready by 7 p.m. for a surprise. She even kissed me and whispered, "You're going to love it." Well, she wasn't wrong. I just didn't love what I found. I decided to leave work early that day. I figured I'd grab a bottle of wine and maybe set up a little something at home before a night out. I wasn't trying to outdo her. I just wanted to add to the romance. As I parked outside our building, I noticed a car in the driveway that I didn't recognize. At first, I didn't think much of it, maybe a friend or a coworker visiting her. But something in my gut told me to be cautious. I walked up to our apartment quietly and saw that the door was slightly ajar. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Moaning. My wife's voice. I wish I could say I reacted with some badass fury, but I didn't. I froze. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. It was surreal. I felt like I had left my body. I pushed the door open just enough to see into our bedroom. There she was. My wife, the woman I had loved for nearly a decade, tangled up with another man in our bed. I don't even remember making a sound, but they noticed me. Lisa gasped, eyes wide with shock, while the guy, some gym rat-looking dude I had never seen before, scrambled to cover himself. "Oh my God, it's not what it looks like," Lisa screamed, wrapping the sheet around herself. "Not what it looks like." That phrase has to be the most ridiculous thing ever said in these situations, because it was exactly what it looked like. I stood there for a second, shaking, and then just walked out. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I didn't even cry. At least, not yet. I just grabbed my keys and left. I drove around aimlessly for what felt like hours. My phone was blowing up with texts and calls from Lisa, but I ignored them. Eventually, I ended up at my best friend Mark's place. When he opened the door and saw my face, he didn't even ask. He just pulled me into a hug. That's when I broke down. I told him everything. Every detail. He was furious, offering to go over there and handle it. But I stopped him. I didn't even know what I wanted to do yet. I just knew my life had crumbled in an instant. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept replaying everything in my head. How long had this been going on? Was I blind? Stupid? Had our whole marriage been a lie? Lisa kept calling, leaving voicemails, begging me to come home and talk. Talk about what? How she betrayed me. How she planned a romantic night for my birthday, and then spent the day screwing another man. I wasn't ready. The next day, I finally decided to go home, but not to forgive her. I needed answers. When I walked in, Lisa was sitting on the couch, eyes red and puffy. She looked like a wreck, but I felt nothing for her at that moment. Just emptiness. "Why?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. She started crying again. "I don't know. It was a mistake. I was lonely. You've been so busy with work, and I don't know." Bullshit. Lonely? I was working to provide for us, to give us a good life. I loved her. I made time for her. She was just looking for an excuse. I asked her how long it had been going on. She hesitated. That was enough of an answer. I told her I was done. No yelling. No insults. Just the truth. I was leaving, and we were over. She begged me to reconsider, but what was there to reconsider? She made her choice. I packed a bag and left again, this time for good. So here I am, writing this out because I don't know what else to do. I don't know if I should file for divorce immediately or if I should wait and figure things out. My heart is broken, but my mind is telling me this is the best thing that could have happened. In part 2, I'll update you all on what happened next, how Lisa tried to fix things, what I did about the house, and what I found out about the guy she cheated with. Spoiler, it's worse than I thought. Thanks for reading, Reddit. I'll be back soon with an update. I'm back, Reddit. First, I just want to say thanks to everyone who reached out with support after my first post. I read every comment, every message, and honestly, it helped me more than I can express. Now, as promised, here's part 2. Buckle up because things somehow got even worse. After I walked out on Lisa, I stayed with my friend Mark for a few days while I tried to figure out my next move. I was exhausted, drained, and honestly just numb. I hadn't even cried since that first night. It was like my body had shut down all emotions to keep me functioning. Lisa kept calling and texting nonstop, but I ignored everything. She left voicemail after voicemail, saying she was sorry, that she made a mistake, that she loved me. The same script cheaters always seem to use. Eventually, she switched tactics. Instead of apologies, she started saying we needed to talk, that she had things to tell me. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to hear it, but I knew I needed closure. On the 4th day after I caught her, I finally agreed to meet her at our apartment. Not because I wanted to fix anything, but because I wanted answers. When I walked in, Lisa looked terrible, eyes swollen, hair a mess, clearly not sleeping. A part of me, deep down, still felt something for her. But I pushed that aside. I wasn't there to comfort her. I was there for the truth. She started crying immediately, saying she regretted everything. I let her talk, but I didn't say a word. Finally, I asked the one question that had been eating me alive. How long has this been going on? She hesitated, looking down at her hands. And that's when I knew this wasn't a one-time mistake. Almost a year, she finally whispered. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. A year. An entire year of lies. A betrayal. While I was working, planning our future, loving her, she was sneaking around with some random guy. And then she dropped another bomb. He's not just some guy, she said quietly. His name is Jake. He's my co-worker. I almost laughed. Of course, it was the classic affair with a co-worker cliché. But it got worse. Lisa wasn't just cheating on me with some random gym rat. She was sleeping with her boss. That's when everything clicked. The work meetings, the sudden overtime, the time she came home later than usual. I had been blind. Stupid. I stood up, ready to leave, but she grabbed my hand. Please don't go. I ended it. I swear. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just. I pulled my hand away. You were just selfish, I said. You wanted to have your fun while keeping me around as backup. Well, I'm done. She begged me to stay, to work through it. She even said she'd quit her job, go to therapy, do anything to fix things. But there was nothing left to fix. I told her I wanted a divorce. Lisa broke down completely, sobbing, saying she would do anything to make me forgive her. But I'd already made my decision. I walked out, and this time I wasn't coming back. Since then, I've met with a lawyer to start the divorce process. I took some time off work and moved in with Mark temporarily while I figure out my next steps. Oh, and about Jake? Turns out he's married too. I did a little digging and found his wife on Facebook. After a lot of debating, I decided to reach out to her. She deserved to know the truth, just like I did. When I told her, she went silent for a few seconds. Then she just said, "Thank you," and hung up. I have no idea what happened on her end, but I hope she left his sorry ass too. As for me, I'm taking things one day at a time. It still hurts like hell, but I know I made the right choice. I don't regret leaving. The only thing I regret is not seeing the signs sooner. So that's where I'm at, Reddit. A broken heart, a failed marriage, but a future that's finally mine. Thanks for listening.